Hello, welcome back to the RedVsRed podcast. I am TheSaffronMan. This is Sporadiclese, and we're going to be talking and reacting to the latest news and the result from the Southampton match earlier today. Overall, it's been a really great weekend for everyone getting back into the swing of things of club football, and we're going to be breaking everything down for you guys. So make sure you hit a like and subscribe. We're on YouTube as well as Rumble. You can come see us on Twitter also. Just get involved. Up to 100 follows or subscribers, we'll start a Discord, and we're really looking forward to starting that and getting involved with you guys. But let's get on with it. Loads to go through today. How you doing, Sporadiclese? Doing all right, man?
Doing well. I mean, it's always a good day whenever Manchester United gets a win, and it's an even better day whenever they do it and Liverpool lose. So, I mean, what more could you really ask for today?
Well,
Really?
we could have asked for City to lose as well, but they were losing at one point. So, I mean, maybe that's a little too much to ask for. But yes, definitely
I
a
mean,
good
wishful
comeback.
thinking at this point, unfortunately. So we'll cross our fingers and see if we can't have that happen sometime further down the line. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves though. I mean, let's start straight off with the match at Southampton. And, I told you that when me and Sporadiclese had a conversation literally late last night, and I should have hit the record button, because pretty much everything I mentioned pretty much happened except for the exact event. So I mentioned that we need a catalyst to kind of build, or something would have to drastically happen, whether it be for better or for worse, in order for us to get on the same page and get a result out the bag. And I mentioned a whole bunch of different scenarios that could happen for that, but I didn't predict a penalty or Onana saving a penalty. But that ended up being the catalyst for us to build off a whole, positive performance. But those first few minutes were the same on United for a little while, right? It was a rocky few minutes, but that penalty moment was just the turning point.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that the first even 25, 30 minutes of the match were very touch and go for us. We did have some okay moments trying to go forward. I honestly thought that Southampton was going to sit a little bit deeper, and they did not really do that today.
No.
They really wanted to press, and so that definitely caused us some troubles there at the beginning. But I think you're right, that Onana save really did serve as a catalyst for us to really kick ourselves into gear and get ourselves on our feet, because I thought for sure that was going to go in, and I was hoping that we weren't going to hang our heads, and sure enough, he comes up with his first save. So he is 1 for 8 for saving penalties in the Premier League, and it's good to always get that first one, get that out of the way, and I'm looking forward to him saving more if we need him. Fingers crossed that we don't need him to.
Yeah, actually, despite all of my thoughts about Onana, I mean, when it comes to penalties, I'm actually semi-confident in his ability to do that, because it's a straight opposition. It's quite hard to get the positioning wrong from a penalty. You're there and you predict or you react, sort of thing. And I think those are traits that he's good at, because he's already set in that position. And anything else, I think, yeah, again, I'm semi-confident every time a penalty comes up, because he's got the ability to make those saves, or the know-how to. It wasn't the best of penalties, by the way, but I mean, it was enough in the corner where you had to make a dive and make contact. I've made dives in that corner before, and the ball literally bounces up and goes over me and it just makes you look like a complete idiot. But yeah, he did. This is why I don't play for Manchester United sporadically, right? But Onana did do well. I do fancy him for the penalty saves, and I mean, as much as Southampton were bossing the first part of that game, they, after that penalty, they didn't have a single shot on goal. Like, that just goes to show how much of a catalyst that penalty save was. We literally took control of the whole game until the final whistle, and Onana didn't really have to do anything after that. I can't remember last time we've seen something like that. I think we've seen the opposite of that against Coventry in the Cup, where we concede, and then, then the rest is kind of history. But yeah, this was a definite opposite direction to that. Really positive. Everyone looks so bright and energetic.
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to get a clean sheet, but I love seeing a clean sheet where we're also getting onto the score sheet and with multiple goals. I was thinking, I believe in my prediction, I said 2-1 that I released yesterday. 2-1 was my score line that I thought we were going to come out with, and And honestly, after that first 30 minutes, I thought that was what we were going to be good for. But it seemed like we kind of turned on the afterburners after that save, and a good set piece goal. Honestly, that really helped out. We haven't scored a whole lot of goals off of set pieces, and so to score one off of a set piece like we did with Delict, I mean that was a really good thing, and I think that that's something that we can hopefully look forward to more in the future.
Yeah, I've just popped up the formation of what we started with right next to their Sporadiclese. I mean, with all the injuries that we still currently have, with all the youngsters that we've got coming through, I mean, this was actually probably the strongest lineup that we could have had. Maybe you could argue for Ugarte coming in for Christian Eriksen, but he's just joined the club. He did get some minutes, which we'll get to in a little bit. I think you argued in your predicted lineup yesterday, Garnacho over Rashford. That's a debate that's going to go on, and we can kind of get into those as well. But ultimately, it's a strong lineup here. Our defence is pretty solid. Every time Mazraoui steps on the pitch, we're like, wow, he's getting a 7 out of 10 performance every time we see him at the moment, which is definitely an upgrade. And some of us weren't expecting that kind of an upgrade. I was being one of them. I wasn't expecting 7s from Mazraoui, but I mean, that defence is looking really solid at the moment, and a clean sheet today just gives them a bit more confidence. Again, not a single shot in like 55 minutes of football away at Southampton. That's got to build. That's got to be some training ground improvements there, surely.
Yeah. I mean, it was just a complete performance for those 55 minutes. I think that again, obviously we looked a little shaky, a little hesitant at first, but I think as we got a little bit further into the game, we became a little bit more comfortable, and it seemed like we were dealing fairly well with the press that we were seeing from Southampton, and so I'm just giddy that it looked like we actually looked like a proper football team today. It's something that we didn't see last weekend. This looked like we had a strategy and we stuck to it, and the formation looked good. It didn't look like we were really out of position too much. I think Dallo was the only person that was really caught out of possession or out of position too much today, and I think he made up for it in many cases. Obviously, not the penalty conceded, but those things happen, and I think we've had the conversation multiple times that it's kind of concerning that Rashford doesn't always get back, but what I did see today was Xerxes getting back.
Yeah.
Since he does like to drop in and try to facilitate, the build-up play. I've also seen him dropping back. I think I saw him cover for Mazraoui whenever Mazraoui's further up the pitch. So I mean that's something that I think will help us out a lot in terms of just heads-up play. Just because you're in one position doesn't mean that you're not needed elsewhere, and depending on the circumstances. And so that was really bright to see, and I think Rashford did a pretty decent job of covering for Dallo whenever he needed it as well. I think that an overall good performance from him today. I was pleasantly surprised.
I was giddy over De Ligt more than anything else, man, because this guy is this week alone been written off by his countrymen, by his manager. He didn't have the best of performance. He's been written off by people in Germany. It didn't work out for him at Juventus. And this is a guy who's like 23, 24 years old still. We've got to remember that. And he's coming to United with a point to prove. And we saw the tackle against Liverpool. And that was, again, the highlight of that match for me, where he got involved with that tackle. But, I mean, today's match, it's like we're seeing him become the generalissimo on the pitch in real time. And there are leaders by many forms. Bruno Fernandes is very animated and vocal about his leadership. Marcus Rashford, when he's scoring goals, he's got leadership qualities by showing. But De Ligt, it's kind of like Maguire did like 8 years ago for Leicester. Just drives the team forward. He's dangerous in the opposition third. He's still very tall and powerful and combative. He could be a future captain at Manchester United. especially Bruno is, he's just signed a new contract, which is great. But I could really see, I know it's early, but I could really see De Ligt being a future captain of Manchester United in the next, 4 or 5 years, maybe a little bit less. But he's definitely got that in his locker. What a fantastic game he had today. And I can't wait to see more of him. He had a little bit of a cramp, a little bit of a niggle, which is why he come off. Well, I've seen the interview after, and it is just a niggle. But yeah, if he can stay fit, he's going to be an absolute bargain. You can't buy anyone of his quality at that price,
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. I think that really it's just the injury history that is a little bit concerning. So I like to see Ten Hag being proactive and saying, okay, well, we don't want to exacerbate this issue that it looks like we're seeing, so we're going to go ahead and pull you. And so I'm wondering if that's also, what happened to a couple of other players, but we'll discuss that a little bit more in depth later. But yeah, I mean, I think he'll definitely have some competition though for that captaincy. I think going forward, I think we've got at least one other very promising option, but that
who's that? Name names.
I would say Kobe Mainoo. I think that in the future he's definitely going to be the type of player that the team can rally behind. I think that he's got a lot of the qualities that we're going to be looking for, being that box to box midfielder. I think he's got a little bit to do in terms of his football IQ, but I mean overall he's good under pressure, good on the ball, good in transition. He'll step up on defense whenever he needs to, and he's not afraid to get forward either. So
I would be happy with him to be vice. So, vice captain. I mean, sure. You got to think, De Ligt has been a captain since he was, 17 years old at Ajax. Yeah. And so I think Kobe can learn from that. So let someone like De Ligt be the captain and take the brunt of that and bleed in someone like Kobe Mainoo into that role for whenever he leaves, sort of thing. I agree, Kobe is a leader, has those qualities, but comparable to De Ligt, I don't think he's quite anywhere near that level of leadership skills yet. Especially just in terms of experience as a human being, alone.
But if we are talking about in 4 or 5 years in the future, then he very well could develop those in that time frame.
Absolutely.
But to your point, De Ligt being a captain for a good stint in his career, it's certainly a possibility. And Mainoo, I think right now his focus really needs to be on making sure that he's putting in performances week in, week out. There's been a lot of pressure put on him, a lot of, him getting thrust into the limelight because, he is one of those players that we have right now that is just so promising. And, it seems like every time that we get a hold of somebody that, we want to start making comparisons and this and that. And, as long as he's just keeps his head down, focuses on, him and putting in the work and, his performances, he's going to be phenomenal for us going forward.
Yeah, in my opinion, there should be no expectations whatsoever on Kobe Mainoo. It's all hopes. You hope he does this. You hope he does that. You hope for those moments where he can change a game or create a deadly pass or that winner against Liverpool. You hope for those moments, but we shouldn't expect those. This is again a new club, a new team, a new squad, new management. He's actually still gaining minutes and experience on the pitch. He's having fun times with England as well. So there should be no expectation. Just allow him to develop himself. Some people might say, well, he was in that team against Liverpool and lost 3-0. He was relatively quiet today, got an early booking, but I think he was professional throughout, honestly. So just leave the kid be, let him gain these minutes, let him gel into the team, and let him morph into whatever player he turns out to be. Expectations in this kid are kind of pointless, honestly. But De Ligt had a great start, got us off with that goal, 1-0 up, and literally 6 minutes later, up steps the one and only Marcus Rashford, Sporadiclese. And we've been talking about Marcus Rashford quite a lot, and again, you're to a point where you left him out your predicted lineup, you think you've got Nacho. I'm right there with you, he kind of deserved it, but I've seen the hard work that he's been doing behind the scenes up the RH. If you know, you know. And he has been doing these coaching courses and trying to just enjoy football again. His ability has never really been in doubt, but his mindset has always been the thing. And I've mentioned before, if you were to just get him hungry to score goals again, everything else would just click into place. And he looks like he's just been doing shots and shots and shots on the training pitch. And today's goal was just, there was no other angle for him. He saw the angle like out the corner of his eye, and he just, no real power, just accuracy, a dip, a swerve from the inside of the foot, and it was almost too good. He was almost shocked by it, but it went in, and it just a fantastic strike to the first goal of the season.
Yeah, I mean, and on his first shot of the season,
yeah, it's 100% accuracy. You can't knock that.
Yeah,
you can't knock that.
Yeah. So ideally, you see him taking more shots on goal earlier. You don't want to have one of your potentially most productive players getting their first shot of the campaign in match week 4. So I'm hoping that's going to give him the confidence to just pick his head up and take his opportunities. I think that he also probably noticed that there's a lot of bodies in front of the goalkeeper, and so a little bit distracted, and just you don't always need all that power. You just got to place it sometimes, and I think that he understood that very well in this particular situation. And props to him. I mean, that's a good goal, and that should hopefully be a confidence booster that he needs. And we've got another match coming up where, if he's playing, then he has a very good chance at scoring in the next match as well. So, as if he can get just a couple of goals to kind of boost that confidence, then I'm looking forward to seeing him do good things.
Me too, man. And it was just, you could see the confidence or whatever was going. It helped shed a weight off his shoulders a little bit. But it was a positive game throughout. Things haven't really been going well. I really hope this is the turning point for him. But ultimately, there wasn't really a bad player on the pitch. I mean, Bruno had a quiet game, but he's been at the level for so long, like with other players around him underperforming. It's now nice to kind of see the inverse of that, where Bruno doesn't have to put in a 9 out of 10 performance because the other players around him are putting 7s and 8s, which again we haven't really had that for a long time. So Bruno just having a 5.9 or a 6 game, that's absolutely fine with that. That's great. And yeah, like I mentioned, everyone just getting 7s or 8s, and we haven't had that in so long. Sporadiclese, like. Yeah.
And against Southampton, this is a fixture that sometimes we have struggled with in the past. I feel like a lot of the teams that you expect to finish lower in the table like to sit back, like to just try their best not to concede and then counter. That didn't happen today,
right?
And I was really glad to see that we were able to play through that press a little bit. And to your point, I mean, I think pretty much everybody had a pretty good day. I think if I had to pick somebody out and say, I thought that you could have done better this game, it's unfortunately Xerxes. I think he had a couple of opportunities that you really should be putting home. Mm-hmm. One was a little bit too far on the stretch. The other one, you're right in front of goal. All you got to do is get it around that last defender, and the keeper stands no chance. And unfortunately, he took the shot, and I think Ben Narek was just right there, standing there, ready to block it. So we could have seen, a goal or two from him today. But I definitely rate him. And so I'm looking forward to seeing him, in the coming weeks, get on the score sheet again, like he did against Fulham, giving us that win in the first match week. I think he's gonna kind of get out of this little funk. He had a good international break too. So. Gonna be good things for him to come, but just need that extra little bit of finishing prowess.
I mean, he's in those positions though, and some of those are
yes.
are against him. But I mean, Yeah, he's in those positions. It's not like Val Vegas and he's like running around like a headless chicken, and it's not really like
Yeah.
things are working and are happening for him. It's just not quite going in the back of the net yet.
Yeah, his movement is intentional and smart.
Right, and the link-up play, and yeah, like I said, covering for defenders where needed. He may not be fast, but he's consistently all around that pitch wherever he needs to be, being a presence and trying to link up, which is great. So yeah, I'm happy that I would agree that Xerxes is probably the lowest out of the rated performers today. I mean, but ultimately he's real close to getting those 7s and 8s like everyone else, and it won't be long till goals like that start happening. Before we kind of get onto the Garnacho winner, I mean, when he came on and looked energetic as always, we've mentioned Garnacho coming on and being that game breaker, and he was really effective in that today. But just a word on that red card from Jack Stevens, who obviously took out Garnacho. At first glance, people saying it's not a red card. At second glance, some people are saying it's deserved. What are you saying? What's your thoughts on this, Sporadiclese?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was going to be a yellow card. I was thinking, oh, okay, well, on the counter, stopping a potential, on-goal movement. And so it wasn't until the replay that I saw, he really did come in high. Studs were showing, connected up near the knee. I mean, that's a textbook red card. I think, the referee got it right. I don't even think that they bothered to VAR check that.
Yeah.
Just because, the ref had a very good vantage point from where he was. And so as unfortunate as it was for Southampton, it was well deserved. I don't think there was really any arguments on either side that you could have made to say that was unfair or whatnot. It would have been nice to have continued to play against a full 11 and kind of get those minutes in against a full strength team. But I'm not mad about it, and as long as Garnacho can keep on playing, after that, then I'm happy overall.
Well, some people are mad about it, Sporadiclese, and I'd just like to say, like, the reason some people are saying it's harsh, especially some of the ex-players and stuff like that. Some people are saying that it wasn't too high, it wasn't too reckless, it wasn't too powerful. But what I'm trying to say is, it was, it might not have been like too reckless like we've seen in the past from players, but it was breaking so many boundaries that overall it's a red card. It was too many things for it not to be. Absolutely red card. You can't really have tackles like that in the Premier League these days, and you can't argue with the referee. You can argue, say, it wasn't too high. Right, but it was knee high and it was studs up. Yeah, but it wasn't too reckless. Yeah, but he was off the ground, uncontrol of his body, and the ball had long gone. Yeah, but it wasn't last man, or it wasn't this. Yeah, but it was still all of these other things. Like, so yeah, 100%.
It's just like everything. Like, if you want to look for, just straight red cards, you're looking for like egregious in one of those categories, right? And it wasn't egregious in any one of those, but it was each and every one of those categories.
Yes.
It was a little high. It would have been over the ball. Yeah. The studs were showing. He did get off the ground. Now, he didn't come through with a lot of force. The connection, yes, it was there. It wasn't but it wasn't, it wasn't a bone-crunching tackle. Yeah. But, it's just all those things come together, and it's like there's no way that you can say no, in my mind at least, no, that's not a red card. Whenever you're, getting your feet up that high, you just can't do that. That is ultimately endangering a player. You go into that with too much more force, and that could be a really nasty injury. So there's no place for those types of challenges in the Premier League. Again, it could have been a lot worse. I'm glad that it wasn't. I feel sorry for I believe it was Stevens that got the booking, but you just can't do that. You just can't do that.
I don't feel sorry for him. And to our miraculous, till Southampton's dismay, miraculously, Garnacho just jumped straight back up after rolling 7 times from that tackle and ended up snatching the winner at the very end, which I'm sure Southampton fans leaving the stadium at the time were very happy to see.
Man, that's the type of tackle that I'm going to roll 8 times on, okay? So probably Garnacho for that one at least.
But the winner was great. Nice bit of play down the right-hand side. Delo obviously getting through from Casemiro through ball, which was good to see. Casemiro actually getting something right for a change. And Delo receives the ball. You think he's going to whip it in across the line. And he looks back. And you can see Garnacho actually taking that movement away from everyone else to be receiving that pass, and he just slots it in the roof of the net. Really fantastic strike from Garnacho. Great awareness from both Delo and Garnacho, and wraps up an overly solid performance from everyone. Just it was I think 2-0 we could have had some questions still. 3-0 was just the icing on the cake for us to a fantastic weekend's worth of football.
Yeah, I mean, real good heads-up play from both Dalot and Garnacho to see. Everybody's expecting that ball to be whipped in, so they're kind of drifting a little bit towards that back post, crashing into the net pretty heavily, and then Garnacho just kind of sliding in towards that front post and making that connection. Just really good overall. And I think I've said it a couple times before. I think Casemiro in particular has looked much better in terms of going forward than he has on, in his defensive roles. He's had any number of, good vision balls over the top and just like really smart heads up plays whenever he's not getting caught in possession. And so, I love to see, kind of getting the hockey assist for him, the assist to the assist. Really good ball. So happy to see him involved in something positive for once.
Yeah, and again, just looking over at some of these stats here, I mean, there wasn't a single offside from either team, which I find very interesting. Maybe both teams were playing quite deep, but again, maybe it's just the choice of pass wasn't just hoofing the ball in front, and they're actually trying to keep possession and make something happen, as giving each other time to move forward, which I found really. We did give away the most fouls. We had 14 fouls. Southampton had 11. We had 130 extra passes, but the pass accuracy was 90% for us, 87% for Southampton. Fine margins. We had all the corners. We had 7 corners, not a single corner for Southampton. Again, just reiterating the point, as soon as Onana made that save, United just switched on, and that was it. They took the game by the scruff of the neck, and it was positive throughout. I can't really think of anything negative. The negatives that I think of are like Xerxes, who missed a couple opportunities, but I mean, that's no biggie. Maybe Bruno Fernandes not having an 8 out of 10 performance, but that's fine because Bruno's 6 is probably everyone else's 7.5s anyway. So that's I'm very happy with that.
I mean, Delict getting beat really cheaply on the the touchline, I would say.
Yeah, but again, he's the only one playing out of position, technically, so you can't allow him to have a rocky 15 minutes, and he did kind of grow into the game after that. Yeah, you don't want to see that, especially in European games, but this is football, humans do play the games, mistakes do happen, but we covered up the mistake this time, which is, we can't say that for many other times, so...
Yeah, so it definitely, he got some help there from the rest of the team, which that's the ideal thing, right? Like you want to be comfortable knowing that you can make a mistake and you might not get punished for it because your team's going to come through for you. And unfortunately, the last couple weeks we've had mistakes where we're not getting that coverage, and so that was definitely a positive in terms of building that team cohesiveness, so to speak, and just being aware of where other people are, what they're doing, all of that. So, I'd love to see more of that here in these next few games.
Well, I'm actually going to be doing a match preview on Tuesday for the first time in the channel's history, because you usually do a video on Friday and you get to do all the previews. So we got Cup game on Tuesday, so I'll be doing a preview of that. So that I'm looking forward to that. So hopefully we can continue the momentum going forward. One of the things that we wanted to talk about was Erik ten Hag's kind of reaction to the game. I've got a quote here. Let me just go through that as Sporadiclese. So with his reaction with Sky Sports after the game, Erik ten Hag says, "You have to find a foothold field in every game, especially away from home. That was a good learning for this team in how to do this. You can see in the games from the Community Shield on that this team is growing, but it still needs time. We have to build this team, and I'm sure we will get there, but it'll be very hard work. You can see from game to game there will be improvements. I'm very pleased and happy for him in Matthias de Ligt. I know he has some very good attributes as a leader, but he's also very good at finishing set plays, and that is one of the reasons why we bought him. So, I mean, just kind of going over that, of everything that we said about the game and hearing Ten Hag's reaction there, is he right? Is he spot on? Do you agree with what he's saying? Does it sound confusing to you, or what's your kind of main take?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that he's definitely right in so many ways. You know, this is as much as he's been building on or attempting to build an identity for the team over the past couple of years, we're still each and every transfer window bringing in new players that are intended to be, you know, starting players, starting quality players. So we've got De Ligt and Mazraoui coming in. We've got Ugarte that's probably going to be coming in. Xerxes up top. We're going to have Lenny Yoro back in a month or two, and so, you know, we still have to find some time to gel and become a cohesive unit and really understand, and to have everyone understand their roles within the hierarchy of this system that we are trying to play. And so I think he's definitely right. You know, it is going to take a little bit of time. Obviously, I think, well, I say obviously, but I think, you know, where we stand in December is going to be a very good indicator for how much longer Ten Hag is going to be at the club. And so I want to see more points coming out of this. I was thinking we were probably going to get somewhere in the ballpark of 9-10 points out of the first 5 matches. We've got 6, so we at least need to get to that 9, right? 2 losses. Should have won the Brighton game. Looked just lost in the Liverpool game, but this was a good bounce back. It's a good response. 3-0 against us last week, 3-0 for us this week in an away game, you know, at Southampton. I think overall it was a good performance, and it's just what we needed after last week.
Yeah, usually, I mean, I'd say usually, there are times where Ten Hag is coming out, and whether you're pro or against Ten Hag, he can kind of rub you up the wrong way of what he says, whether it be telling porky pies or trying to get certain things out of the players, or straight up just confusion, like doesn't make sense, some of the things he said. But I think he's absolutely spot on here, and it's rare that we actually get a win and our manager, what he says is a win also. Like, it's rare that we have those two kind of things meet up, and I think he's absolutely right. I mean, he's talking about De Ligt, how pleased he is, and he's talked about his attributes, which is fine, but we are still growing. But we knew this when, you know, as soon as Jim Ratcliffe kind of took over, as soon as the staff got fired, and we brought in new staff and new management, new coaches, we're changing stadiums, we're doing bits in the women's team. We've not only spent like 160 million in the transfer market or whatever it was, but we've actually brought in and revolutionised the youth setup as well. And we've upgraded our training facilities. All of this is terms of growth. Like, yes, we've done a lot in 6 months, but the results that we're going to get from this are long term, as well as short term. So we want to see improvements today, which we have done, but we won't see the fruits of these labours for the next 3+ years, I would imagine. So yeah, it is all about growth. We did want to see improvements, and I think we've definitely seen in this match. Does that give us confidence now to go on to the next 5 games? Because the next 5 games are really important. Carabao Cup, FA Cup, we've got Euros, the Europa League, as well as some important matches. Like, there's a lot going on over the next 4 weeks. Well, I think that's 2 weeks, sporadically. So I think
it's 7 games in 22 days coming out.
Yeah.
So this is going to be a very tough stretch, and so I'm expecting there to be some rotations. There's going to have to be rotations, and so I think Barnsley is going to be one of those games where I don't think that we're going to be able to start everybody that we started. So obviously you'll have your take on that on Tuesday. That's just kind of my quick little overview. But we're going to need to get more minutes for more players throughout the campaign, especially if we're going to try to attempt to be a long-term player in each of these competitions.
So yeah, you mentioned the players, and we'll get into the deep dive and the preview on Tuesday. But just I think that the Manchester United website, they posted a list of all the players listed for the Premier League and for Europa League this season. So this is for the Premier League, and you got most of the players in the over 21s, but then anyone under 21 doesn't have to be registered. So the people in the under 21s is literally anyone in that main top 25. And there's like 30 names here, but some of the names here are like Harry Amas, who's meant to be coming through. Gabriel Bianchiri, people are talking about. Toby Collier's got some minutes already. We've got Jack and Tyler Fletcher. Garnacho is in that list of under 21s. Dan Gore, which people rate highly. Rasmus Højlund is in that list of under 21s. We've got Lewis Jackson, who's a centre back in rave about. Saku Kone, who we've just signed, is in that under 21 list. Shea Lacey, Samuel Lasalle, Kobe Mainu is in there. There's so many more. I'm trying to get through. James Overy we've just signed. Malachi Sharp, Ethan Wheatley got some minutes towards the end of last season, and Lenny Yoro. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, you're absolutely right with the regulation trying to rotate people around, but by gosh, have we got some squad depth that we probably haven't had in 10 years, and they're not just like, Alexis Sanchez types, like, these are young, hungry, promising young players coming through the ranks, chomping at the bit. They could make the Carabao Cup their own this season if given the chance. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully going far in these competitions. I'm looking forward to that rotation this year, Sporadiclese. Last couple of years, there's been no rotations really to be had, and when it has been, it's like Christian Eriksen coming on and not really doing great. But now we've got these young, hungry players that are chomping at the bit for minutes, like you say. It's going to be exciting if they're given a chance,
Yeah. I mean, there's you can sit here and try and highlight. Oh, I want to see this player. I want to see that player. I want to see all of them. Mm-hmm. Honestly, they all look very promising. Some of them have been around a little bit longer in the Manchester United academy than others, but the ones that we've brought in are also, again, very promising talents. Sekou Kone, Chido Obi Martin. I don't even think you mentioned him.
No.
So he's much younger, granted, but I think there's so many players there that you look at and you say, this could definitely be a future first team player. And I think this is honestly one of the first times that the first years in the last 4 or 5 that you can really say that. So many of the academy products that we've been having come through have been shipped out and sold for pennies on the dollar, really. But also think about, we could potentially bring back Willy Kambuala at some point, because we do have that buyback clause for him.
Don't we still have a buyback clause for Angel Gomez as well?
We sure do. But his contract also expires at the end, or in 2025.
I mean, so, that could be perfect. Anyway, but yeah,
could come back on a free.
Yeah.
So I'd love to see some of these players get minutes, and early days in the Carabao Cup, whenever we're playing teams from that aren't in in the Premier League. I mean, they should definitely be getting minutes. I think that Harry Amas, I think that he should be getting minutes. I'd like to see him get some Premier League minutes too, honestly. I think that would help, because right now we're basically playing 2 right backs on and right, and if we're going to do that for months at a time, there's a very high chance of burnout.
I think you're right. I think if we didn't lose the first couple of games out of the 3, I think we might have started by now. But I think after the international break, we're wanting that strong that strong ignition to kickstart our season, and I think he's kind of having to play that to try and get the best out of the squad at the moment. Now, if we get towards Halloween and towards Christmas, we're going to have some cup games. We're going to see him hopefully in the Carabao Cup and everything, and we'll see him into that team. I just think with all the negativity kind of going on, still swirling around, it's a bit too much of a risk. I think Deleu's a lot safer option at the moment. Give it a few more weeks and months, and I think, we'll be seeing everyone come through. You're right.
Yeah, and we've also got players coming back from injury too here soon.
Yeah.
And so we should be a little bit more robust. Robust in as much as glass can be.
Yeah.
But we'll see how it goes. I'm just hoping that we can get some of those guys some minutes, because the sooner that you get those minutes for them, the hungrier they're going to be for more, and so you're going to see their performances just boost and boost and boost for those academy or those under 21s, U18s, all of those. We're going to see a lot of good things from a lot of those players, I think, in the coming years.
Yeah, I hope so. All right, so let us know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Is Ten Hag right? Is it a process going to take a little bit of time to get used to? Just let us know what you think of the performance so far. We move on to our next topic, and we want to talk a little bit about our guy Marcus Rashford. So I'll just kind of read some of this article here. So 26-year-old who once hailed as one of United's bright stars has become under fire recent times for what many perceive a lack of effort on the pitch. England international who was instrumental in the 2023 campaign with plus 30 goals in 56 appearances across all comps has experienced a dramatic dip in form since then. So this is just going back to just a snippet of what some people are talking about. But Sporadiclese, we saw a different Marcus today. Like I've been saying in the last few previews, his energy looks different. He looks focused. He looks like he's trying. His body language when he loses the ball is still questionable at times. But when you give him the ball this season, even though he hasn't been taking on his man as much as we'd like, his mannerisms on the ball are a bit positive, and he got his just rewards today, where a shot which he probably is a bit more surprised that it went in more than anything, but that was just down to his raw ability. He saw an angle, his technique to find that angle at that pace with that swerve is something probably only Marcus could really do from that position. It's really going to do wonders for him, right? This is hopefully the pinnacle of his downfall, and he can just kick on his season from here. Sometimes to start a new season, it takes something to shake off the shackles from the previous season. And the first 3 games last season probably just kind of still on his shoulders a little bit. This goal his season starts from here, basically, is what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I think that I saw a lot of good things from him today. The very first opportunity that he had, he was one-on-one against his defender, and I thought, I even said it out loud. I was like, take him on. He lost the ball, unfortunate, but I want to see him at least make the attempt.
Yeah.
Because it looks like in the past few games he hasn't really had the drive or the effort or willingness to put in that effort to try and take people on. And so, it's like, okay, that didn't work. Pick your head up, try it again. And, I think that the goal that he scored today kind of showed that little bit of resilience of, okay, like just because something's not working doesn't mean that I can't do something a little bit differently or try something new. And so, just a really good opportunity for him. First shot of the season for him again, and 1 for 1 there. Love that, absolutely love that. Looked like he was willing to chase the ball a little bit too. So that's really what we need. We just need a little bit of energy from him. I think that's the one thing that fans have really been frustrated with for the most part is just where is this lack of energy coming from? This is not the Marcus Rashford that that got that huge wage increase. Where is that Marcus Rashford? Where is that energy? Where is that drive? And so this can definitely kickstart a season, and I'm hoping hoping that he finds a good vein of form here for the next few games, because we're absolutely going to need it. I think this kind of justified Ten Hag backing him for this match. I think that he just really needed that confidence in front of goal, and all the work that he's been doing over the international break and everything, I think was kind of key in giving him that confidence boost to just say, forget it. I'm just going to take a shot. Let me just take a shot. That's all I need to do, and that's all that we wanted him to do. Just take a shot. You can't go 3 games without a shot as a winger at Manchester United and expect to continue to play.
Yeah, I mean, all his natural abilities, his pace, his mobility, his enthusiasm and physicality, all of those natural abilities that he has are primed to be able to take on a defender or to shoot from distance or whatever. He's got great shooting technique and all. It's all in his mind. But he hasn't been wanting to take on that player, like we mentioned. He hasn't been wanting to get those shots off. So he's taken this time away and he's gone to RH Elite Coaching, which, again, it's a massive shout out to RH Elite Coaching. The fact that numerous Manchester United players are going there outside of Carrington to try and to get tips or bits of information or a little bit of assistance here and there is great to see, and it's just proof that hard work does pay off. We saw Marcus Rashford like 2 seasons ago during the summer, went to the gym and came back and is in rip-roaring shape, and then he scored 30 goals that season. So the fact that he's gone away again and international break, alright, I'll show you, and again, just getting him in the mindset of enjoying the action of shooting again, because everything else can come naturally. You get him in a point where he wants to score goals or wants to try and get in position to score goals, we're going to have a lethal Marcus Rashford back. So, yeah, really happy to see that he decided to make the choice to go and do some work behind the scenes. And already it seemed to have paid off, because he's got more goals this season already than what he did at the start of last season. So he's doing good, and yeah, I really hope this is the catalyst that we all want Marcus Rashford back. And just thinking, for the goal that he scored, you put anyone else in the United shirt in that position, who scores? I don't think anyone. I don't know. Because Bruno generally needs a bit of a swing, but this was kind of a half swing with the inside of the foot. And to keep it low, to keep it slow, but still be curling. I just don't know if Bruno's kind of got that in his locker. So, I mean, from position, maybe Bruno. From that scenario where people are surrounding him and it's like a half swing technique, I don't think anyone really can kind of do what he did there. I think that's what Marcus offers, his unique traits and personalities, which no one else has got. And for the first time in a long time, we saw a snippet of that. So, yes, great to see that happen. I kind of want more now. Like, we've got cup games and Europe is coming up. We've got some big games coming. Let's get some momentum going for Marcus. That would be great,
Absolutely.
All right. Okay, so next one we wanted to talk about a little bit is the whole injury. So take us through this one, Sporadiclese. What did you want to mention about the injuries? Because as far as I understand, nothing's really changed. Like, we're still getting injuries. We've probably got more injuries already this season than what any other club has got in the Premier League, I would imagine, because we've got quite a few out. But if you were to add on that list from last season, that's a long-ass list of injuries. So what's the update?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, and so, I mean, this was kind of, this is what Erik Ten Hag had to say after the match. When asked about De Ligt and whether his issue was simply a spot of cramp, Ten Hag replied, "It looks like that, yes." So that's hopeful for us. Looking forward to seeing whether or not that's actually true. At this moment, he is not fit. He's not at 100% speed. He needs the games to go up to it. Ten Hag did concede that the club won't be fully aware of the extent of Martinez and Mazraoui's issues for a few more days. That's not a good sign for us. I'm really hoping that that's not really going to be an issue, because otherwise we're going to have to see players like Harry Amos come in and get some minutes right offhand. If we don't have we're that would basically put us down to one back, and so that wouldn't be good. Hopefully, Mazraoui, that's nothing serious, and Martinez, he's a huge catalyst to our defense. Would love to see him not being injured for a long extended period of time. But to continue. It says we had internationals early in the season. Some are short in the preseason. Some come from intercontinental flights. When you have a 12:30 kickoff, you can struggle, he continued. United returned to action on Tuesday at home to Barnsley in the Carabao Cup, and there were hopes that Rasmus Højlund, Luke Shaw, and Mason Mount could make their returns from injury in that fixture, but Ten Hag suggested he will not risk the trio. Of course, it's an important period with many games to play. I think it's 7 and 22 days, he added.
That's a lot of football, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you're talking every 3 days or so. That's a lot of games. But it would be great to have Højlund and Luke Shaw, coming back for us, and Mason Mount. Mason Mount's one of those where I feel like at times it's more of a nice to have than a need to have.
Yeah.
But Rasmus Højlund and Luke Shaw, those two are going to need to be fit for extended periods of time during this season if we want to have success. And so, adding 3 more, 2-3 more potential names to that list of injured, not going to be great. Hopefully, we can hear some good things. Come Tuesday, and we'll hear maybe well, they just can't play today. I think that would be like ideal scenario is if they're not available for Tuesday, but we can bring them back in the following weekend. We don't need any more extended injuries. We've already got Lenny Yoro out. Obviously Rasmus Højlund, Malacia, we need to have come back. Luke Shaw. So I just want us to be healthy for once. I would love to have a season where we have only a couple injuries, and other than that, our squad depth that we have, I think we have good players and we can rotate our squad, but we have to be fit in order to do that. And the most concerning area is defense, and you're talking about 3 potential injuries to your 3 out of your 6 remaining defenders that are even available. So tough to see. So but hopefully it's good news.
You only need 2 defenders per match, and we do have midfielders that could go there if need. Heck, Bruno Fernandes played a centre back versus Liverpool that one time. It would needs must we have people that can go up there. But I think, like you mentioned, our squad depth is really something at the moment. We do have 6 defenders. A couple of them are injured, a couple have got niggles, but throughout a season, we shouldn't have to worry about centre-back pretty much all season because we have enough of them. If we end up in January needing a centre-back, something has drastically gone wrong because we even have a couple in the youth team that can step up as well if needed. So, we have squad depth there. I mean, I watched that De Ligt interview after the game at Southampton, and he said that's the first time he's played 3 games in a week in a long time. And he's had to travel as well as that, like Ten Hag alluded to, on a plane. So within 7 days, he's flown intercontinental and had an early kickoff, and he's played 3 games in a week for the first time in like 12 months or something. So yeah, he doesn't really need to play against Barnsley. He doesn't need to travel to Barnsley. Like, he could just have a week off or a match off and be ready for the next week game in the Premier League. Again, manage that rotation. We have the squad depth needed now. There's no need. If De Ligt plays on Tuesday, then we can blame Ten Hag for him getting injured, right? But if he doesn't play on Tuesday, and less blame is on, again, managing that squad depth, and we can take that on every area of the pitch instead of just the back line. We can't really do that on right back and left back situation as yet until Harry Amass gets minutes. So again, he needs to get some minutes going. Midfield, we've got quite a lot of experience in the midfield, and Ugarte is yet to come in as well. So we can definitely rotate in the midfield when needed. Colby Main, who doesn't need to play every single minute of every single game. Bruno Fernandes doesn't need to play. He doesn't need to play at Barnsley, for example. He may want to. He wants to play every game. But if it means giving someone like Ugarte some minutes and a chance to express himself in a cup game against Barnsley, again manage that rotation. We had the players in every area except for the wing backs, I would say, where we have the ability to rotate. You mentioned earlier that having 3 wingers, having them positive and challenging for one another's positions, I think that's a really positive state to be in. Garnacho might start on Tuesday. Anthony might start on Tuesday, just to make the
I was
squad
going to
just
say,
feel like a squad.
you said 3 wingers. Is Anthony not considered a winger?
No, he's like a wing back off the bench. Like, I don't know. I think he thinks he's a forward or something, but I don't know. You are right. I said 3, but I meant 4. But the 3 are in good form. Whereas Anthony's not in any sort of form to be competing for any spots.
No,
but
2 are in good form. 1 is finding it.
Right, but this is what they care about. This is what rotation is for, to give them the opportunity to find that form rather in a high-octane environment like the Premier League. So, yeah, again, we have the squad for the first time in ages, and I'm so looking forward to Sekou Kone coming through and a whole bunch of others. And the reason why Obi Martin wasn't mentioned is because he's in that court battle at the moment. It's gone to a court of arbitration for sport because apparently our compensation fee wasn't enough. So we've been in about. He hasn't officially signed for us yet, but it could be any day. But at the moment, it's in court, so he's not allowed to play any football unless it's international levels. So it's actually a bit of a crazy one. But yeah, we've got a fantastic squad, and just keep them rotating now. Reasonably, I think we should be good. Anything else to add on the injuries? I mean, how many more injuries do you think we're going to get this season? Do you think, are we going to have an injury crisis at all this season compared to last season? Because last season was bad.
I mean, we're in my mind, we're already in injury crisis. And it looked like Harry Maguire was even pulling up at the end of the match. I don't know what's going on there. He got subbed on. He didn't even play all that much. But he was visibly distressed in his ability to move around and whatnot. At that point, it's like, who do you have for center back? You got Johnny Evans, Victor Lindelof. Who knows what Victor's doing? Still haven't really heard much about that. If Martinez is now injured too, De Ligt not going to be is hopefully. I'm hoping that he's not going to be utilized at Barnsley, but Lenny Yoro obviously. This is just an extension of the injury crisis that we were facing last season. Lassie was out all last season, still hasn't played a minute yet, but he is in training from the looks of it. Luke Shaw, he's always good for at least another 2 entries this season.
And on Luke Shaw, real quick, remember, he can play centre-back as well. So, again, when Luke Shaw comes back, if he comes back fit and able...
Well, he won't on Tuesday,
He can play in 2 positions. I don't think he'll play on Tuesday, if I'm honest. I think it's Tuesday. I think Harry Maas...
Ten Hag's basically already said as much, right?
Yeah.
I think that Harry Maas should play on Tuesday. Yeah. I think this is the
just to give Delo a rest, honestly. And Masraoui.
Yeah.
Both could do with a rest.
Yeah. Agreed.
Good stuff. All right. So let's move on to kind of for or against. Let's kind of explain that before we kind of get into it real quick. So for or against is basically a little show that me and Sporadiclese have come up with to kind of end our content, and we've come up with 3 questions or statements that are potentially going to irk one another. It's to diverse opinions and get everyone's thoughts and on the way. But I would argue for one side, as Sporadiclese would argue for one side, and hopefully that will help you come up with your own thoughts and opinions over the matter, and that's how we kind of settle it. And we change sides each and every week. So this week I'm going to be on the for, and Sporadiclese is going to be against. So I'm kind of looking forward to it, man. No clean sweeps have happened as yet, though, have they? I think we've been generous on that front.
I think you've been closest.
All right, so let's get cracking then, and then do the quick intro, and then we'll get straight on into it. So here we go. Alright, welcome back to RedVsRed. I am TheSaffronMan, this is Sporadiclese, and this is our for or against segment where we come up with 3 dividing thoughts and opinions and try and defend either for or against said statement. We take it in turns, and hopefully both statements will give you guys a chance to decide of your own opinions down in the comment section down below. So Sporadiclese, you are against this week, buddy, and our first question for this week is... This is the turning point for Marcus Rashford. So I'm for, you're against. Please start your argument as to why this isn't this turning point for Marcus Rashford.
Sure. I mean, it was It was a good game for him overall, but this is one of those matches where you expect players, to come in and have a decent performance, right? Scoring against Southampton isn't really an amazing feat, and I think that Marcus Rashford definitely needs a lot in terms of external stimuli and boosts to his confidence. Yes, he has been going in and doing some extra training while he was not picked for international duty, but just seeing him get one goal from Southampton or against Southampton this weekend. I think I'm going to have to see more of it before I believe that this is a true turning point for him. Definitely good moments, but we're still not seeing a lot of the things that made Marcus Rashford to the United fan base. He is still struggling to take people on. I think his confidence is getting there in terms of his willingness to do so, but he's still not the same winger that we saw a couple of seasons ago. And so, until we see him really taking on defenders, really pushing to win the ball back, I can't say that this is really going to be it. It was a good goal, great goal. We mentioned earlier in the podcast that that's probably a goal that him and maybe one other person might be able to score, but a good showing altogether. But I think we need to see it against a little bit more significant competition before I really am convinced that this is the turning point for him.
Yeah, that's great. Just remember, everyone watching for the first time, we are intentionally playing devil's advocate to try and give you the for or against opinions, right? So this isn't what Sporadiclese believes on a daily basis. He's not being a negative Nancy for the sake of views or clicks or whatever. This is part of the game, right? So, devil's advocate, I think that's a great opinion there. But after all that being said, Sporadiclese, I'd say, mate, he's one goal down, 29 to go. What's your problem? Of course he's going to... This is the turning point. And you've got to start at the bottom to get to where he goes. So he's starting... His season starts here. Absolutely is catalyst. We've all seen the hard work he's putting in behind the scenes. Not with anyone. Literally with the elite coaching of Up the RH in Manchester to try and make that happen. And he's done this before. He's been to the gyms like after 18 months ago, which we mentioned already in this episode. He's not one to shy away from the hard work. Just for whatever reason, it's been a mental thing, and maybe mixing it up with people from the RH coaching team and it just sparks that interest of wanting to get goals again. And that sometimes it could be a small thing like that. And today's goal wasn't the best goal you've ever seen from Marcus Rashford. However, no one else, in my opinion, on the pitch could have scored from that position with that technique in that situation. Only Marcus could have done that. So we finally saw something unique from Marcus Rashford against Southampton that reminds us, oh my God, that's Marcus Rashford. We recognise that from Marcus Rashford. The last 3 games, we haven't really recognised that, right? We haven't recognised his movements, his body temperament. But today, against Southampton, we did. We recognised that's Marcus Rashford in a United shirt, scoring a goal for Manchester United. So yeah, I believe he's back. Of course, proof is going to be in the pudding. And so, like Sporadiclese said, time will tell. But yeah, if it does happen where he turns back to be on top form, we will look back to this moment and say, this goal against Southampton was the turning point. And so, yeah, I think, God, I should really become a lawyer. I think you should be in my position. I love this too much. So what do you think, this Sporadiclese? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, if he scored 3 goals today, that would be great. But I'd rather him score, 1 goal against Liverpool than 3 goals against Southampton, honestly. And
no longer wanting to be a lawyer. No, that's right.
Until
it's a great rebuttal.
Until he shows me that he can really grab a game by the scruff of the neck like that, because we were already in a winning position by the time that he scored his goal. But until we see that he can do that against the best that the Premier League has to offer, is it really a true turning point? I'd rather see 10 important goals than 25 goals that were superfluous that we were gonna have winning games anyway.
Okay, so I'm obviously not in a winning position. Let's try and get ourselves out of a losing position here. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, right? Like, we've got to wait to see the results. So, out of everything that's been mentioned, we kind of have to leave it white because we won't know until 5 games from now, 10 games from now. I'm clutching at straws now, but
all right. I'll allow it.
Thank you. Okay, right. We'll
I
take
accept your plea bargain.
Oh god, waving the flag and everything. Hey, I got away without getting a defeat there. So let us know what you guys think. Yeah. Let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Is this the turning point for Marcus Rashford? Yay or nay? Yeah. In the future, we're going to be doing these videos and podcast live, so we're getting your live feedback on these points. So yeah, let us know what you think down below. We usually gonna go for a certain colour if needed, but we're gonna leave that white because I don't want to be in a losing position on this one. So I'd rather it be 0-0 rather than 1-0 to Sporadiclese. So let's kind of move. All right, GG Sporadiclese, fair play to you, sir. It is for and against for our next question. I'm going to be obviously for. Sporadiclese is going to be against. So Lenny Yoro starts when fit. So let me argue for this one for Sporadiclese to answer to this time. Now, De Ligt has had a fantastic start. We've talked about it in this podcast already. Martinez is a steady Eddie, and he's a general when we've needed him over the last 12 to 18 months, pretty much ever since he's joined us and been fit and able to play, right? So right now, we have 2 stalwart kind of defenders who aren't even reached their prime yet. So people are thinking, wow, we've got such a strong defence. Harry Maguire's going to be lacking for minutes. Lindelof's going to be... Where does Lenny Yoro fit? Lenny Yoro is a generational talent that has been brought in to be the focal point of our defence for the next 10 years, if possible, right? And especially to get him from the grips of Real Madrid. There is no way that Lenny Yoro is going to be sitting on the sidelines, gaining cobwebs. He is going to be put into the team, whether to give Martinez a break, whether to give De Ligt a break, but he will consistently have minutes in matches. This season might be a bit sporadic. He might get 60 minutes here, he might get 20 minutes there as a sub in Europe, he might start a few games. It might be a bit of a mixed bag for him this season. And that's fine. He's moved into a new country, a new club. There's a weight of expectation. He's already been injured. So you have that time to settle into the club, much like some of the other youngsters that come through, like Saku Kone and Naby Martin. I think towards the end of the season, you're going to see him in the team a lot more. Next season, Lenny Yoro will get a lot more starts than what he's going to have this season. But yeah, I absolutely do believe he's going to be getting the minutes when he's fit and able. I do believe he'll walk straight into the team. Other defenders will be getting rest because of the priorities for Lenny Yoro. There's no way we've offered him that contract that we have in order for him to kind of sit back. So whether it's like Martinez and De Ligt was like, right, okay, it's our turn to take a break. Whether Maguire's out for 3 weeks for a thigh strain or whatever, Lindelof decides to become a builder instead. Whatever the situation need be, Lenny Yoro is going to be there and available, and he'll be walked straight to the team. And honestly, as a career standpoint, good luck in the future, Lindelof. Yeah, fair play. I mean,
yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of depth to this question, just because it does boil down to a lot of different things. Whenever he does become fit, what types of games are you going to start him in? I don't think we throw him in against immediately throw him in against like an Arsenal or Manchester City. I would not put him in right off the bat against a Manchester City. I just wouldn't.
We did get for Cornwalla though against Liverpool. We threw him straight in there. So we've done it before.
Well, at the end of the season, because we were playing Casemiro as a friggin'
I know this. I was just saying
that
it's happened before.
You do whenever you have no other options.
I'm just saying that we've done it before, but yeah.
But you're looking at 3 out of the back 4 that we use currently have all played together before, and Lisandro Martinez, Matthijs de Ligt, and Noussair Mazraoui. They have all played together before at Ajax, right? And so that is going to be a cohesive unit. And de Ligt being a little bit the senior of Lenny Yoro. You've already talked about how he could potentially be a general for us in the future. How do you just say that he, a 19-year-old is going to come in and immediately displace, a potential defensive general? I think it's difficult to argue that. Do I think he will get minutes? Yes. Do I think it's going to be a lot of high-profile starts? No. it's going to take time for him to build into that type of role. There are going to be squad rotations, and he will get minutes. But is that going to be, is he going to be one of the first names on the team sheet? No, I just don't see it. Yes, we have brought him in, and we've had to tempt him here with, bigger wages to make sure that, we get him and Real Madrid does not. He is going to be a huge talent, and he is, I would love to see him as part of, our future development and, in our team. He's also not going to be the type of guy that's going to want to sit the bench, to your point. He got regular minutes for Lille, and so he's probably going to want regular minutes, but it's going to be tougher than you might think for him to break into this squad, I think. And if there are injuries within the squad, I think, yeah, he's the first name that you put on the team sheet when there are injuries to your first lineup, your first picks. But as of right now, I don't see him displacing De Ligt long term for this season without a little bit of luck on his side and maybe an injury to De Ligt, which would be unlucky for Manchester United.
So yeah, again, I agree with most of what you're saying, but I think you completely disregarded my main point, and that his title is generational talent. Now, when you go through previous generational talents that we've had at the club, you think of Ronaldo, you think of Rooney, you think of Giggs, and all these fabulous players that have been those generational talents, and they've been so young, and yet they still demand those minutes because of their age. I mean, Euro is a generational talent, make no mistake. And much like everyone else, like the Rooneys and Ronaldos, he is going to demand and be given minutes purely for that title alone. So yeah, and that's kind of my main rebuttal. Is I've never known a generational talent.
Who else were supposed to be generational talents?
Go on.
Luke Shaw.
That kind of came through as a youngster. I mean, Ferguson was the only one that called him a generational talent. No one else agreed with him. And that was just because we were trying to sell him back to Blackburn or something. And we still never sold him. So, okay, all right. You can see where
he's still 19, so whether or not he ends up being a generational talent is still even up for debate. But he is going to have to get minutes in order to become... everything that all of his potential is pointing to. So
I agree, but he was signed as a generation. That title is on his CV now, like signed by Manchester United as a generational centre-back talent. Like that's on his title. Now, yeah, he's going to have to prove and earn that, but that's been given to him all the same. So. Yeah, you can see that we're at a standpoint.
That's not something you're given; it's something that you earn. To your point, so he's going to have to earn it, and he's going to have to have a lot of good performances whenever he gets his opportunities. And so he's not got a lot of room for error. I think if you're going to have to try to have him to displace Matthijs de Ligt.
I'm telling you, man, like he's going to be getting minutes. You can't be taking away minutes. I'm going to have to say it's a 4. Let us know what you guys think. Are we for or against? But spread it. He's of course he's going to be prioritised minutes, especially since even more so that he's been injured for the start of this season. You best think that later on we get to the Europa League and to the cup games, he's going to be given those minutes, surely.
Surely. And disclaimer: I actually do believe that he is going to be getting starts whenever he's fit. I just have to argue against that for the purpose of this exercise.
Right, we've gone from a not winning position to a winning position. Okay, so I'm loving this now. So third, again, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Third and final statement, what we have here is Christian Eriksen deserves more minutes. So, you are against this statement today, Sporadiclese. Please feel free to give us your opening against statement. Off you go.
Yeah, I mean, I think that in the case of Christian Eriksen, I think that he's going to be one of those players that's good against teams that aren't very good, but he's not somebody that I want to play in high-profile matches. I see him more as a squad rotation player, and this is one of those matches where we kind of needed to rotate the squad. We're about to go through, again, 7 games in the next 22 days. He's going to get some minutes. But I'm not been overly surprised that Casemiro has been getting the starts over Eriksen just because of what the needs of our team have been. And now that we have Ugarte coming in, he's going to be getting more minutes. So really it's like, are you going to rest Bruno? Okay, Ericsson maybe, unless Mount's available. So whenever Mount's available, Christian Eriksen's not going to be getting a lot of those minutes. Kobbie Mainoo, I don't think that Christian Eriksen is a like-for-like swap for Kobbie Mainoo. And so
Toby
I think
Collier.
Christian Eriksen but yeah, Toby Collier is who I would put in. But I think that Christian Eriksen is going to basically be kind of the next Scott McTominay for the rest of this season. While he's still a United player, he's just going to come in and be an impact player off the bench. I really don't see him getting a ton more minutes. It's just not feasible. His skill set was great, a couple of years ago, but he's just not the same player that he had been at, say Tottenham, and so it's just not something that I see for the future, especially whenever we have so many good talents, good young talents coming up through the academy that we've brought in, and so he's not going to get a ton of time this season.
So, look, I mean, not one person expected him to start today against Southampton. And look, he not only started the game, but we ended up winning the game 3-0. And yes, it was a tough start, but he kind of got the game. And Casemiro might have had a higher high than Christian Eriksen. But Christian Eriksen has never had the low of lows that Casemiro has had against Liverpool. Like, Casemiro's never been that guy to make two or three blundering kind of mistakes and concede us games. It's one mistake here or there. He loses a pace battle with a couple of people every now and then. But when he's on the ball and he's got that vision and people are running for him, he will find you wherever you like. Casemiro, to his credit, made that through ball to Dalot today for the goal, that third goal for Garnacho today. But Christian Eriksen could do that from 40 yards further back or in any other direction. He can just unlock doors a lot better than Casemiro, in my opinion. I think, look, Casemiro was never really going to start today. We all thought Ugarte might start, but no one thought Christian Eriksen. I think this is just a sign of the quality of player that he still is. And he was solid today, under a bit of pressure, and we ended up getting a result. He might not have had the best game of his life, but we got the result 3-0, and he didn't make the mistakes that made us lose 3-0. So already he's an improvement for Casemiro over this season. And so that's got to give the manager trust. I can trust this person, whether it be away in the Europa League, away to Barnet, or somewhere else dodgy like in the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup. He can rely on Eriksen because, one, Eriksen wants those minutes, because I think he's having trouble with international level now because he's not getting the minutes international level because he's not playing as much. So look, he can play in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, keep his fitness up and be ready for us whenever needed. And I think he's a lot more trustworthy than others in his position. Toby Collier obviously has earned some trust, but he needs to earn a lot more over the course of this season. Kobbie Mainoo, same kind of deal. Eriksen has lost a lot of trust this season. And so, yeah, there's room for Christian Eriksen, and I think he does deserve more minutes. At least a chance to prove himself, or to prove the fans to be one way or the other. Are you going to stay for another season, or are you going to leave in January? So he needs to be having the opportunity to perform, to answer those questions, I think. But I believe he deserves more minutes, mate. Yeah, especially when Casemiro is playing the way he is, you know?
Yeah. Well, you mentioned, he's not experiencing the highs that Casemiro is, but he's also not experiencing the lows. If you're not experiencing either one of those, then all you are is bang average. And so
you did just call Eriksen bang average. You didn't just do that, did you? You didn't. Mate, any Danish fan that we've had have just unsubscribed. We're probably only if we're lucky. We're an international channel here.
Now, he has had a fantastic career, but in this United setup, under the current management that we're looking at, he is not the player that we're looking to give all of our minutes to. It's clear that Ineos is trying to build for the future. Christian Eriksen is not the future of Manchester United. He's lost a step or two. He goes missing in a lot of games. Yes, he has good moments, but overall, we need to be rotating in some fresh blood and really rejuvenate this side with some of these new up and coming players. And so, I just don't. I can't say with full confidence that he deserves and is likely to get a lot more minutes. Yes, there will be some. There is going to be need for rotation, but it's not going to be regular. It's going to be teams like Southampton or Everton. It's not going to be against Aston Villa. It's not going to be against Newcastle. You're just not going to see that.
Up until January, I think he's deserving of more minutes. Until we have an opportunity to either move him on or replace him, he is a part of our squad. He's got some experience on it, but he can help us in the position that we are currently in. Ugarte isn't ready. Toby Collier isn't ready. Kobe Mainu isn't ready to start all these. There is a space for a consistent, experienced midfielder to help us out when needed. And again, I trust him more so than Casemiro at this point. So,
I'd use him as a cut player primarily.
Hey, but that's more than what he's getting right now. So that's a 4.
It's more than what. Well, how many cup games have we had?
Oh, we're about to have one.
Yeah, we're about to have one. So that's going to be kind of the opportunities that he's really going to be getting. I think is the rotations for some of those cup matches up to your point up until January. So. If you really want to talk about is he really going to get more minutes? If he is, it's going to be for the next 3 months.
All right, but let's stick to the language of the question real quick. Does Eriksen deserve? Can think of the mistakes that people like Casemiro and stuff have done, not just against Liverpool, but in recent history. Sure, does he deserve more minutes than what he's either had or about to have?
I don't know that you can say that he's earned the right to more minutes. Would I play him over Casemiro at this point? Yes, because he made fewer mistakes. But you now have Ugarte, who's going to come in and he's going to lock down that position, going forward. And so I don't think that it's a matter of deserving. I think it's a matter of necessity. So if you want to talk about semantics, Mr. Lawyer over there, I don't think that, no, it's a deserves. It's a he needs to get more minutes because we need to rotate more important players.
You lawyer, can I call for lunch? Is that all right? Is that fine? Can I just keep going? Is that good? All right, I'm going to put that as a 4. Because,
oh, come on.
Because semantics or not, you can envision him getting more minutes than what he's currently had. So I'm taking that as a win.
And here I was being nice on the first one.
I know.
All right, Saf. I'm going to remember this.
Hey, God. It's almost a reverse sweep. But yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you agree with me that I'm right in everything that I say? Or do you agree with Sporadiclese every now and then, on the odd occasion? Let us know in the comment section down below. Come say hi to us in the comments. Come say hi to us on Twitter and X. You'll probably see me again on Tuesday for our Carabao Cup preview against Barnet. And Sporadiclese, when we seeing you next? Friday, is it?
Friday.
And what's your match preview? Who we got on Saturday?
Who do we have on Saturday? I should know that right offhand.
I know, that's why I asked.
That's embarrassing.
Yeah.
He's just, God. Matches. Crystal Palace.
There we go.
It was right there. It was, just on the tip of my tongue. Crystal Palace.
So new comment section. Does Sporadiclese deserve more minutes? Yes or no? In the comment section down below. That'll be great. I think his internet's actually died. There we go. We're good. But yeah, I've been Sam. There we go. You're back. So I've been Sam. That's been Sporadiclese. You'll see me on Tuesday. Sporadiclese on Friday. I'm back again for the RedVsRed podcast each and every weekend, live on YouTube and on Rumble. So make sure you hit like, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you all next time. Till then, peace.